Hello guys and welcome to my channel. My name is Ken and I live in this beautiful 2004 GMC Savana named Miranda Cosgrove, and I've been living in this van for the past year and a half. Right now I work a hybrid corporate job and my goal is to eventually quit my job and become a full-time van lifer. But a question that I get a lot is how I got my van, how I bought it, how much I paid for it, how I saved the money to get it, and all of those things. So I just wanted to address that in this video. And I just got some groceries I need to put away, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and just kind of clean around the van and talk to you guys about how I got this van and all the details surrounding it. So like I mentioned earlier, this van is a 2004 GMC Savana. And I at first named it Tofu, but I changed the name to Miranda Cosgrove. The reason I named the van Miranda Cosgrove is because I put out a public poll on my Instagram asking people what they thought I should name the van, and someone threw out the name Miranda Cosgrove. I have no ties to Miranda Cosgrove or anything like that, but I grew up watching iCarly, and when I read that comment, I thought it was the funniest thing on the fucking planet. So the van is named Miranda Cosgrove and I live in it. So that's how she got her name. But I'll go ahead and get into why I wanted to buy a van in the first place, how I saved for the van, how much I ended up paying for this van, and how much I've put into it. So I'll go ahead and get into when I decided to buy a van. During the summer of 2024, I landed an internship at a tech company in San Francisco. And I had done an internship with that company before, but to get to San Francisco, I flew. And it was my first time going out to the West Coast. The furthest west I'd been before was Las Vegas, and we flew there. So I hadn't really experienced much of the West Coast before. So the second time I knew I was going to go back to San Francisco, I decided to drive my car because I really wanted to explore more of the West. And at the time I was living in Arkansas, I was really excited at the thought of driving all the way from Arkansas in my Kia Soul all the way out to San Francisco. And I did exactly that. And I remembered as I was driving, I was having such a good time car camping. And I tried car camping for the first time. For the first leg of the trip, I drove all the way through Kansas and all the way into Moab, Utah. I wanted to go to Moab because I wanted to see Canyonlands National Park and Arches National Park. I had like multiple national parks that I wanted to hit on that road trip. And those were one of the first few national parks I went to. And I remembered getting to Moab and seeing so many freaking vans everywhere. And as an Arkansan, we have like outdoor culture here, but outdoor culture is more centered around like getting in like a bigger RV and going to an RV park or going hunting, kayaking, things like that. I'd never really experienced going to a Western state and seeing super rigged out camper vans. They're not really something you see a lot of here. You see a lot more RVs and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with them. It's just what you tend to see here. So for me, it was really cool going out there and even seeing people camping in their cars as well, and seeing how many people had rigged out their cars to do this. And I was camping on BLM land, of course. And for the first time in my life, I thought to myself, oh my God, like I could actually make this a possibility. I can make this a reality. I was really lucky at the time because I knew that over that entire summer, I'd be making a lot of money. And by the end of the summer, if I played my cards right, if I saved enough money, I could buy a van. So long story short, after that incredible experience of driving all the way from Arkansas to San Francisco and seeing a bunch of national parks and seeing a bunch of van lifers doing their thing, I was completely sold on the lifestyle. And I was also kind of trial running car camping by doing all of the camping that I did in my tiny little Kia Soul. And I'd never felt so happy before, so I knew that I had to just full send it and get a van. So over the 3 months that I was doing my internship, I ended up saving about $4,500 for a van. And I figured, okay, well, this might be able to get me a nice van in cash, or it might be able to put a down payment on a nicer upgraded van. And then I knew I needed to start searching for vans. So by the last month of my internship, I made a post on my personal Instagram, my like smaller personal, only people that, you know, knew me growing up follow me Instagram. And I made a post about how I had a snail in my ear telling me to do something bad, which was buy a van. And one of my friends actually reached out to me. I didn't reach out to anyone else about getting a van. One of my friends reached out to me and said, hey, I have this van. I don't know if you'd be interested in it, but if you want, you know, you can come take a look. This is it, and I'm selling it. And immediately I was like, dude, I'm sold. I'll go look at your van. So this friend lived all the way in Rochester, New York, which is where I used to live. I lived in Rochester, New York for like 2.5 years while I was starting college. So I told myself that after I came back from my internship and made it back to Arkansas, I'd fly up to Rochester to go look at the van. And that's exactly what I did. So they had it listed for $4,000, and which was perfect because that's what I had saved for a van. So I flew up to Rochester, met up with them, and I took a look at the van. And some specs about the van before I bought it. Again, this is a 2004 GMC Savana. When I bought it, it had 246,000 miles on it, which is pretty high. But when I looked at it, I told myself, you know, if I can get this van, I'm willing to put in any work that I need to put in to make it my home, whether that's replacing the transmission completely, working on the engine, completely gutting it, whatever I need to do, I'm willing to do that. I did a little inspection. I talked to my uncle on the phone, who is a used car salesman, and he's been working on cars his entire life. So I had him do a little over the phone via FaceTime assessment of it, and I ended up buying the van. And my friend actually ended up selling to me for $3,500, and that wasn't a price that I negotiated or anything. So I bought the van for $3,500 with the $4,000 or $4,500 that I had saved specifically to get a van. So that's how much I bought this van for. And then I drove it down, all the way down from Rochester, New York, all the way here to Arkansas, which was kind of insane because I did it in I did it in like, I don't even know how long I spent. I probably spent, 16 or so hours doing it. I drove all the way from Rochester to somewhere in the middle of Kentucky. I couldn't tell you where I was. It was weird as hell. But all the way from New York to middle of Kentucky, I parked at a truck stop and napped for like 2 hours. And mind you, when I bought this van, it didn't have any of this stuff in it. It was already gutted. The back seats had already been removed, but there was nothing else except a hammock that my friend gave me. So I strung up a hammock from a point up there all the way back here, and I slept in that hammock for 2 hours at that truck stop in Kentucky. Then I woke up and drove it the rest of the way back here to Central Arkansas. And that's how I got my van. And I've been working on it ever since. So when I bought the van, I was doing my last year of college. So I bought it August of 2024. That was my last year of college. So I had an on-campus apartment that was being partially paid for by my scholarships. So I wasn't really super pressed, about losing money while living in an apartment. And I already knew that I wanted to do van life, so it felt fine. At this time, I started posting a van build series on Instagram and TikTok, and it did pretty well. I was living in this van while I was still building it out, and at the time I had this super awful futon in here. I had no idea what I was doing. I was really just attempting to live in the van and figure out how I wanted to build it out over time. Because again, I was broke. Like, I was a broke student. So I was building it out slowly. I was living in it, experimenting, seeing what felt right. As I slept in this van, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, where would I want a sink to go? Or where would I want to keep my clothes? I didn't go into this van knowing immediately how I was going to lay it. I actually didn't know anything at all. I didn't really know anything about cars. I didn't know what to expect. I couldn't tell you what a transmission was or anything like that. I had to ask the people around me. And when it came to building things, the only experience that I had building was in a couple of years that I spent taking stagecraft classes in high school. So I had a little bit of experience with carpentry and like using a drill and stuff like that and like a jigsaw, but I built everything you see in this van using like a Ryobi drill and a Ryobi jigsaw. So I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. But anyways, so I was doing college full-time and living technically in a college apartment, but also sleeping in this van and building it out. Every day I'd be out in the parking lot of my college, cranking away at this van, building it out slowly. And that leads me to today. I'm still building out this van. And now that I've graduated college, I'm working a corporate job, and I realized that while it's great for bringing in money, it's not something that I really want to be doing. So I'm continuing to build out this van, and the second I have enough money saved to quit my job, or when I can replace my income from my work with making money from the internet, my plan is to leave and to travel. And that's the thing I've wanted to do since I was a kid. So I hope that answers your questions. That's how I bought my van. That's how much I bought it for. That's how many miles it had on it. It's every time I tell someone this van had 246,000 miles on it when I bought it, I can see like, it's insane. But she drives great. I haven't had any issues with her except for there was like a battery terminal issue. I've had to replace the batteries a couple times. But other than that, I really haven't had any issues with her. I'm sure I'm gonna have issues in the future, but whatever comes my way, I genuinely think that I can only just learn from anything that happens in the future. I'll just have to learn how to fix it by using the people around me, and then hopefully, if I ask enough questions and pay attention, I can learn something new. I can learn a skill that I can apply to the eventual new build that I will most certainly do in the future, whether it's another van or a tiny home or whatever. I feel like buying this van has really allowed me to cut my teeth and learn so much about self-sufficiency, about plumbing, electricity, how to have heating, like building solar, all of it, carpentry, like everything you can think. And it's also, building a van is really a test of character. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're in a place where there aren't a lot of other people doing it. You know, like there are van lifers here in Arkansas. I don't want to sound like I'm saying, oh, there are no van lifers here. There certainly are, but not nearly to the extent to where you'd see in other places along, you know, out west, because where a lot of van lifers dwell, especially during the winter. But yeah, that's how I bought this van, and I love it. I really can't imagine living any other way. The only thing I don't love about my situation right now is the fact that I'm kind of tied to one city. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like or subscribe if you want to. I also just opened memberships for this channel, so if you'd like to get some exclusive perks, feel free to take a look at that, and I'll be putting some content in those membership tiers super soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.